Welcome back, deplorables. I hope everyone's doing well out there. Hey, a friend of mine sent me this a day or two ago, and I watched it yesterday, and I was pretty impressed. Um, so I got to share it with you guys. This is Ivan Rankin. Some of you may know him. I've heard the name. I don't know much about the guy. I heard him say he's ex-Green Beret. He's a tough-looking individual too. You wouldn't want to mess with this guy, especially ex-Green Beret, right? But he's very smart. He's very intelligent. The way he speaks, he just boom, he goes right through. The gal asked a couple of questions. It was a really good, like, little interview. Worth watching. Okay, so without further ado, let me play this. I'm going to be in the living room, and I'll be back at some point. I think I'm going to want to watch like the second half or the last 5 minutes of this again. Willie's on the treadmill over there. Oh, and I've got a surprise for you at the end that it's just about a minute or two long. Oh, actually, he only played part of it. I'm gonna have to find the whole thing. All right, so I'll try and do that after I come back. All right, so check this out. Hope you guys like it. I did. I thought it was great.
No, I didn't know who would be here, but can I just ask, like, what brought you here today? Why you decided to come?
What's your name and what organization are you with?
Zoe Chase.
Zoe Chase.
And the show is called This American Life. It's a radio show.
And what radio program is it on?
It's its own show. It airs all over the country.
Who sponsors it? Is it on what program?
It's a for-profit company. It's its own independent company. It airs on public radio stations.
So it's on NPR?
Well, yeah, it's on public radio, but it's not an NPR program. It's its own company.
Okay. So what is your question? You talked to me before?
Yeah, we met. I mean, it was like 2
Are
years
you
ago.
sure?
Yeah.
Which Reawaken?
It was the first one I went to was in Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I was in Nashville, and that was not the first one.
No, it was my first one.
Okay.
It wasn't the first one. But there was like a hotel meet and greet afterwards with flyover.
And you're based out of where?
New York.
What brings you down here when you have that trial up there that you
I
should
don't
be
get to cover
focused
the
on?
trial. That's not my job.
How do they allocate that?
Well,
Like, do you get tasked to come down here?
Not really. I don't get to make my own choices, but our show is like a documentary show more. It's like a magazine.
Okay.
And so we don't do breaking news.
So do you want to do a sit-down long-form interview with me?
Well, actually, I was just going to ask you kind of like what brought you here, like why you were here and what you made of it. But we could talk.
I'll put a post up about it with that question. And then you can follow that on X, Telegram, Truth, Getter, my Rumble channel,
right,
and all the other ones. And I can provide you that.
I just followed you on Twitter because I was like,
okay, which one? Ivan Raiklin?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because the other one's still censored by Brian Naughton at the FBI. Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
So my Raiklin account is still being censored by the FBI's Brian Naughton, Laura Demlow, Joe Pientka, and Elvis Chan.
Whoa. So you started a new account?
No, that still exists because it was reinstated. Those are the individuals that are at the FBI that run the censorship industrial complex on behalf of this illegitimate regime. Do you know those names?
No.
I can provide you much detail on. They were the ones also involved in the original illegal Crossfire Hurricane spying operation on General Flynn, Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and Paul Manafort. I have receipts on every single individual. That's why they haven't really come after me yet, because if they bring me in, the entire regime comes crumbling down.
Whoa.
Okay?
Well,
so they are scared of me, not the other way around.
That makes more sense. You, on your Twitter bio, I noticed today it said Secretary of Retribution.
Yep.
I just wondered what that meant.
Yeah, that means that I will guarantee consequences for a list of at least 350 individuals that are on my deep state target list.
Okay.
And when you read that deep state target list, remember, I'm an attorney and a retired Green Beret. Okay?
That I know. Well, that I might be interested in talking with you more about is your deep state target list, if you have time.
Elon Musk has it. Michael Schellenberger has it. Matt Taibbi has it. The Judiciary Committee has it. The Weaponization Committee has it. The Oversight Subcommittee that is part of the House Administration Committee has it. The House Freedom Caucus has it. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, likely has it. And it's just a matter of time for a joint press conference to take place between Speaker Johnson and Elon Musk to go ahead and disclose and release the Twitter direct messages of those individuals on my deep state target list, proving the seditious conspiracy going back to 2016, the illegal spying operation on the Trump campaign. You're also going to find the involvement of Mike Pence and his chief of staff, Joshua Pitcock, in that conspiracy, along with Josh Pitcock's wife, Catherine Seaman, who was the senior Russia analyst for Peter Strzok, who was one of the two individuals that was deployed by Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe to get General Flynn to lie or to get him fired, as per Bill Priestap's notes, which was the Deputy Assistant Director of Counterintelligence at the FBI.
That's a long list.
I can go in much more detail, but that's generally the crux of it.
Do you get to meet with Jim Jordan and talk about this stuff?
I meet with everybody.
All these guys?
Every single member that you think I talk to or may talk to, I talk to them.
And what do you guys talk about? Like, what's the reason that you talk to them?
Everything that I put out publicly,
Yeah.
I also provide that to them.
And I guess
I
what
don't do
mean
anything
is,
behind the shit, like
yeah.
behind closed doors.
I guess what I
Everything
mean
is
is, like,
transparent.
what are you hoping to get out of talking to them? Like, why do you do it?
I want to guarantee Elon Musk discloses the direct messages for the mother of all Twitter files, so that the entire country can see what just occurred to them, starting from the illegal spying operation, the corrupt DOJ and FBI. The raid on Mar-a-Lago was to seize the evidence that was declassified by Donald Trump in the last few hours of his first term, which involved the Crossfire hurricane details, which would list all the names that I've mentioned so far. Whether it was Lisa Page, who was Andy McCabe's chief counsel at the time, along with Peter Strzok, a guy by the name of Joseph Pientka III, who is currently the number 3 individual at the San Francisco field office. So you have the special agent in charge, you have a ASAC, assistant special agents in charge, and then you have the ASAC for counterintelligence. That guy is a guy by the name of Joseph Pientka III, who was the second agent that was deployed to interview General Flynn on January 24th, 2017, in order to get General Flynn fired or to get him to lie. That was an entrapment. And that's the same agent that was deployed in August of 2016 to the Trump campaign to do what they call a counterintelligence briefing, a defensive one, but with the secondary purpose in order to, and this was him, Pientka, along with Trump, Chris Christie. You know that Chris Christie's attorney during his Bridgegate scandal was Christopher Wray?
I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. And then the third person in that meeting was a guy by the name of General Flynn. Joe Pientka was deployed by the Crossfire Hurricane leadership, authorized by the General Counsel at the time, Jim Baker, who then later became the Twitter 1.0 number 2 lawyer, to coordinate the censorship industrial complex, to cover up and censor and suspend those individuals that exposed their corruption, okay? And it just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting, the cover-ups. This is just they're trying to take out Trump now because they were able to take out their first existential threat, which was General Flynn, because he would have been the first one to go ahead and expose this level of corruption because he knows the system. Now that Trump knows the system after being 4 years in it, he is now an existential threat to that very DOJ, the national security apparatus. Remember, 39 individuals unmasked General Flynn, okay? One of them was Jamie Raskin's wife, Sarah Raskin. Totally unlawful unmasking. Look that up. The 51 individuals that said the Biden laptop had all the earmarks of a Russian information campaign, where your colleagues over at Politico published that on their website. One of those 51 individuals is John Brennan. Another one is a guy by the name of David Buckley. David Buckley ended up becoming the staff director for Liz Cheney's and Benny Thompson and Nancy Pelosi's January 6th cover-up committee.
So it's a pretty small world, it sounds like.
So David Buckley was tasked to create a list and do his deep state target list of political targets. So now it's my turn. I have a deep state target list, and I'm coming for all of them. And what does that mean when I say coming for all of them? It means the most legal, moral, and ethical consequences to the maximum, to include the maximum punishment for treason. I personally guarantee that they're going to face those consequences. And you can take a look at that list.
Like, are you going to sue them? Is that what you would do?
Just wait for it.
Okay.
You will see it. It will be so visible for the entire world to see and hear. I'll give you some examples.
Okay.
I'm going to incorporate the precedents that's already been set. So we're going to incorporate what was done to General Flynn. We're going to incorporate what was done to Steve Bannon, what was done to Peter Navarro, what was done to Mike Lindell, what was done to Scott Perry. Translation: expect to see live streamed swatting raids of every single individual on that deep state target list, because the precedence has already been set.
And with
Remember
that,
when Mike Lindell in the Hardee's parking lot, the FBI went and conducted armed robbery of him in Minnesota? Remember when Peter Navarro was swatted in an airport? Remember when Steve Bannon, on multiple occasions within the U.S. Capitol Police jurisdictional zone, conducted swattings and allowed for swattings to take place of Steve Bannon and his residence? Remember the armed robbery and burglary of Roger Stone that was live streamed by your colleagues over at Criminal
CNN.
News Network?
Yeah.
That we're going to take in the collective and do that, okay?
Okay.
It does not matter what happens in the election. It does not matter who
That's what I was
wins the
gonna
election.
ask.
This is going to take place at the hands of the American people, with or without an election, and with or without whoever wins the election. I guarantee you that that will take place at the county and state level, because right now the federal government is not in a position because of its capture and its corruption. So imagine this. When you take a look at the direct messages and the geotagged location data of the 350 plus members on that deep state target list, and then you curate that, Elon Musk, and then do geotagging of the communications, and then you present those communications to name the county of the 3,143 county and county equivalents in our nation, the 50 states and the 6 federal districts, right?
Okay.
And then you identify where a treasonous communication took place. And then you present that to the local DA, similar to good old Alvin Bragg. That then will create the nexus to showcase this criminal, conspiratorial, seditious conspiracy and treason charge. And that local DA, the local sheriff, will then be deputizing folks like Ivan Raiklin and those of us that were thrown out of the military because we did not comply with the illegal DNA mutilation injection, the forced DNA mutilation injection.
Do you mean the COVID vaccine?
I'm talking about the CCP-19 lab incident money-making scheme by Pfizer, the Pfizer fail, the Moderna mutilation, or whether it was just a myocarditis-making, heart-exploding J&J jab. So those of us that were either thrown out or left because we would not participate in the DNA mutilation of our own physiological beings, there's 80,000 of us that are ready, willing, and able in order to be deputized by appropriate sheriffs throughout the country to be participants as lawful deputies to conduct live stream swatting raids of every single person that we can identify that conducted the necessary unlawful activity by county on my deep state target list.
2 questions. Where did you get the 80,000 number? My first question.
Yeah. So 8,600, about 8,500 approximately, were thrown out of the military. Okay.
Because they wouldn't do the vaccine.
Because it wasn't a vaccine. The name of vaccine, the definition changed before the rollout, and it was never approved by the FDA. There was never a product that was approved by the FDA to then be able to coerce and manipulate into other people's bodies.
Okay.
Don't believe me? Look at the footnote on FDA's own quote-unquote approval of Pfizer's Comirnaty. Legally distinct, and the product was never created. The Pfizer BioNTech was created, but that one was never approved. That was
Okay.
only under emergency use authorization.
Right.
So I need to correct you on that one. You need to do some more studying, ma'am, okay?
I hear you.
Next, 80,000,
Mhm.
okay? As far as the 80,000 goes, that's the minimum that I see of folks that left the military early through retirement, ended their careers early because of the illegal mandate that was promulgated by and enforced by the entire chain of command. Those are also going to be, many of the members on the deep state target list are those military leaders, quote unquote leaders, I call them failures, within the Department of Defense and at the Pentagon, that will face similar consequences for forcing and coercing unlawfully the mutilation of another person's body, and thus minimizing and destroying our personal readiness
So this is
within
all
the
post
DoD.
2020 people you're talking
No.
about.
Come on. Are you going to ask that question, that level of ignorance? 2016, Crossfire Hurricane?
No. I mean,
Hello?
I'm saying the 80,000 that you
I
referenced.
mean, at this point, you're wasting my time if you don't even have that level of context. Take a couple hundred hours to research the subject, follow my work on Rumble. Once you see that, I want you to identify one thing that I have incorrect, and then you can start coming after me with questions to scrutinize it, because you have not done the necessary requisite research to for me to even give you my time. So I think that's about it.
Can I ask one last question? You don't have to
It
answer.
better be intelligent.
Well, I don't guess that'll be in the eye of the beholder. You don't think, you were saying it doesn't matter what happens in the election. So you don't think you need sort of the protection of Trump's Justice Department to do some of what you're talking about?
No, because we're going after the Justice Department.
But like,
They are the enemy. That's what you fail to understand. The individuals that I mentioned are the enemy of our constitutional order. We're coming for them maximally. And how we're coming for them is because we are engaging with counties and states in order to crush them.
with via the sheriffs, basically.
What do you think Alvin Bragg's doing right now? Is that a federal officer?
No.
Exactly my point. Look at the counties in this country that are red versus blue. It is overwhelmingly red. So Alvin Bragg and the Dems are setting our precedent as we go on offense.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ivan.
It's going to be a doozy. And I love it when it gets spicy. And there are, again,
I believe you.
out of the 80,000 of us, we are clamoring to be deputized by sheriffs nationwide in order to conduct the necessary live stream raids, if they want to push us to that.
So if I did want to follow up with you, and you
And I'll
wanted
say
to
lastly,
answer- yeah,
there are over 1 million service members. I'm going to say this. Like you said, Secretary of Retribution. The Secretary of Retribution consists of 3 divisions. Number 1, the research arm. And should there be a mechanism where we create it, it's going to be the first division is, again, everything I'm telling you, I have already said it publicly. And I have many podcasts where I've said this.
yeah.
So number 1, we're going to have a research arm to continue to develop our targets, okay?
Okay.
Number 2, and that's going to be staffed by January 6th defendants, family members, as well as their lawyers, since they have already kind of conducted some of that research. So they're already kind of interned, if you will, over the last 3.5 years. Number 2 will be the 2nd division, which will include the action arm. The 80,000 of us that have decades of conducting this type of activity of actioning targets overseas, right? And the 3rd arm is going to consist of those that will live stream, right? Independent media, obviously not your organization, won't be included in that.
But we don't
But they
do
will
live
ride
streams.
along. They will ride along and live stream the swattings and raids of the 2nd Division that I just mentioned that are properly and appropriately deputized to conduct those raids. And then the first arm is obviously going to be the ones that create those lists. We're just using the playbook and the precedents that has already been developed to target those that conducted lawful First Amendment activity on January 6th and everything downstream from that.
So if you say you don't need, you're not waiting for Trump's election, like when are you planning to do it?
Stand by.
Okay. So
Just keep an eye on things.
Okay. So how could I follow up with you?
So you can follow everything I do online. Everything's public.
But like, if
And
I wanted
advocate,
to ask
again,
you a question.
I advocate for these people are going to experience the most peaceful and patriotic, lawful, moral, and ethical experience of their life.
The swatting and the raiding sounds scarier than lawful and ethical and peaceful.
It's legal, moral, ethical. I said it was peaceful and patriotic. It may not be peaceful for them, but for me, it'll be peaceful.
Okay. So, but if I message you on Twitter or something, that would be a way to ask questions?
Publicly. You can comment on me, on my posts publicly.
Okay.
And I'm going to post this. Again, your name?
Zoe Chase.
Okay.
Wow, pretty wild, huh? All right, let me get something ready for you guys. The doo-doo is going to hit the fan. All right, here's my little treat for you guys. Joe Biden and the Alzheimer's keep falling, which is the Tom Petty song. Check this out. I think you're going to love it.
He's an old guy, has dementia, can't lead us, and the country is screwed. Tells some big lies, barely speaks English, sniffs children, and their mom's hair too goes the wrong way. When he leaves his speeches, gets lost each day in the White House yard. All the Dems say that we should re-elect him. How can he run when walking is hard? And Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, keeps falling, falling, yeah, he keeps falling, and Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, keeps falling, falling, yeah, he keeps falling.
All right. So I don't know if you go to YouTube, if you can see more of that. I'm guessing you can. I don't know. All right. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed this little clip that I made for you. I think the Ivan Raiklin thing is really interesting, right? There's so many ways that Trump can come back and that we're going to take our country back. First of all, Trump has the proof that the 2020 election was stolen, and others. There's the Brunson case that's still going around to the Supreme Court. I think it's going to be heard on the last day before the Supreme Court. I guess that's in June sometime, before they take their vacation, and they're gonna hear it, and I think they're gonna make a verdict on it. And it's interesting to me that it's on the last day before they go on vacation, because that kind of tells me the doo-doo is going to hit the fan there also. And that could mean a lot of senators and Congress representatives, they can be out on their ass just like that, and have treason charges against them. Hopefully there's buses or a couple of buses out there waiting for them. They load them up and take them straight to Gitmo and hang their asses. Because they didn't verify the election. It's in the Constitution. They broke the law. That's treason. And you're going to find out a lot of these, it's so obvious. They knew what they were doing. They were paid off. We're going to see their bank accounts and all that stuff, right? Going to be an interesting summer, I do believe. I think it's going to keep ramping up more and more and more, and then boom. And as far as Julie Green's goes, that's I love watching her. Again this morning, she said everything can change in a day, like it did in the past in other Bible stories. Everything was looking really bad, blah 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 boom, boom, and one day it completely turned over. The people were wealthy. The Israelites got their wealth back. They got health back. She's mentioned that. She's mentioned a few times that God said that. Remember, I can make the dead rise. So, your Uncle Norm is thinking about his wife. I hope I get her back. I joined a dating site and a couple actually, they suck. There's scammers on there and I'm just not into it. I mean, if I meet someone nice, probably not on a dating site. I went to a dating site because that's where I met my wife and it came out perfect, right? I'm older now. I don't hang out with friends like I used to. Some of them are gone, some of them moved, whatever. Or have wives and they don't go out or whatever. My list is kind of small, but it's huge with you guys, right? So I don't drink really anymore. So I can't go to a bar. And like I said, the couple of friends that I do have, I can't go out with them for one reason or another. It's a weird situation. I figure, well, when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I'll find someone. Part of me wants to, because to take some of this boringness out of my life. But then again, I'm okay. I'm all right watching my truther shows, talking to you guys, giving you guys these videos, going to the gym, messing around with the dog and the cat here. Willie needs his walks and stuff, right? So, and I'm really looking forward to what's going to be happening here. But all of us, part of us doesn't want it to happen because we're kind of worried about what can happen, how far it's going to go, right? We know the deep state cheat and they're capable of anything, right? They wanted to kill the whole planet. Except for 500 million, gee. And those would have been permanent slaves just to keep everything up to snuff for them, right? It feels like we're in a bad dream sometimes, doesn't it? The more awake you are, the more crazy it gets. And it's like, wow. You think back to when you were a kid, you're going to school, you're having fun and you think what your future is going to be like, you got it kind of in your head, sort of. Most of the time, it doesn't turn out anything near like you thought it would, like mine. But no way would we have thought that there's so much evil here, right? Trump exposed that, and he still is. And lots of Democrats are coming over. They're going to independent, but they're going to vote for Trump, or they're just coming straight over Republican. We know it's a uniparty, right? Both sides are bad, but the Democrat side is the real bad side. And what makes the Republican side bad is the Democrats that infiltrated that side, basically. And the ones that are just plain corrupt, they want money. They're making already a ton of money. They got everything, they got power, but it's not enough. I just don't get it. All right. Anyways, if you liked the video, think about hitting that beautiful like button down there and subscribing. Be cool, stay cool, and God wins. Take care.